Councillor Joe Bayford. I apologise, Councillor Bayford.
Thank you, Chair. As members will be aware, I was against refusal of this application at the last meeting. It's for outline only. Many of the issues up for concern would be dealt with then when it comes back with for reserve matters. As far as I'm concerned, in the original report and this current report, all the issues of concern have been addressed, including flooding, lack of GPs, which are not for us to decide tonight. However, I have to accept that most people don't feel the same way. What I do feel is that we should at least be guided by our planning officers about the reasons that we give, cogent reasons, so that if, as we say, we risk losing on appeal, we don't risk having to pay costs as well. So I think we should listen to what they have to say.
Thank you very much for that, Councillor Bayford. Councillor Albon, I'm going to draw a line under that, and I'm not being rude to you because I wouldn't dream of doing that. But I think
not in public anyway, Chair.
No, I know that. I think 3 meetings, the debate we've had tonight, I'm going to put this to members, which is again. Thank you. Didn't see you there, Councillor Hopkins. New glasses. Carry on. That's all right.
Sorry, okay. Yeah, I just wanted to ask, in 2.8, I mean, I do share a lot of the concerns, in particular the affordable housing one. In 2.8, we're given some information about a recent appeal which is relevant because some of the conditions are the same, but I was just wondering, because there's no context there, to what extent that's representative of similar appeals generally, because we're only just told that one appeal did happen. So I just wondered if you'd be able to give us any more on that.
Thank you. Yeah, there are a few different appeal decisions that I think different people have submitted to councillors and as part of the application, but this specific one was looked at following the meeting last time, which was specifically to try and see as an instance where there was agreement in terms of the viability evidence about affordable housing, but members didn't consider that there was sufficient affordable housing provided by a scheme, and on the basis of the particular concerns that this council and the councillors had about lack of provision in the district. So it was to look at an example where the evidence said one thing, that you couldn't provide the development actually in that instance it was 0 affordable housing, and it was to give an idea of how an inspector looks at these issues when weighing up the benefits and the harm. That's why it was included, because in that instance, the costs on that site were actually about remediation, because it was a site within the urban confines like this is, but it was one that needed to be cleaned up. So there was a quite significant abnormal cost of doing that. In that instance, the application proposed 0 affordable housing and 0 contributions. And the inspector, when weighing up, considered the fact of what the councillors had said about affordable housing, but considered that the viability evidence and the benefits of providing a site which otherwise would not come forward for development was considered to outweigh that harm. So that's why it was provided as an example, but also specifically to try and inform the decision and the matter outlined at 2.6, which is about members are entitled to give less weight to the viability evidence, as opposed, you can give less weight to it. But in this instance, the evidence is there, which means that it does comply with SP23. SP23 specifically says, got to provide 30% affordable housing, and that target will only be reduced if the applicant can demonstrate that it would be unviable if they provided 30%. That's been demonstrated. So it's in compliance with the policy. But the specific point raised at 2.6 is to outline that actually, if members consider that actually, even though that policy has been met, there is a serious concern about affordability for the reasons that are outlined in this report in terms of the housing strategy and the objectively assessed need, then you are able to refuse the application on this basis as outlined at 2.6. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Livingstone. Councillor Hopkinson.
Is it okay if I just come back quickly? So I think I could have been a bit clearer. I mean, I fully see the relevance of this appeal case to ours, but what I meant was to what extent, I mean, how many other appeals are actually going on? I mean, for example, Councillor Keane mentioned that a case in Islington, went to appeal but was rejected. So I mean, I don't know how many of these appeals are going on, and I don't know, to what extent that one is representative of what's going on broadly.
I mean, there are hundreds of appeals that are going on. In fact, there's quite a significant backlog of appeals that the Planning Inspectorate are dealing with at the moment. This is an issue that does come up. Viability assessments are looked at. Issues of affordable housing and provision of planning obligations is something that is considered a lot by the Planning Inspectorate. This is a recent appeal. It was determined literally a few days before the previous meeting we had in June. So that's why it's been provided, because it's the most up-to-date and relevant appeal that we could find with regards to the issue. The one thing in addition in this instance that is outlined in the report is, in that instance, the council could demonstrate a 5-year supply of housing land. We cannot at the moment because of not providing and not meeting the requirements of the housing delivery test, which is why, again, the report does have to outline that. So the members do have to be aware of that fact if they are going to refuse it on the basis of the reason given. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Ian.